Hello and welcome to Novella Horror Week number 2. Before I get any reading done, we're in Vancouver, and of course on the way we had to grab crumbl cookies. They finally have the minis all the time, and they finally had the cutter. We've been twice or 3 times? Twice before. And
they just got to Canada.
Liam's meeting a friend in a little bit for a concert, that's why we're here. So he has a peanut butter one and a pumpkin one that him and his friend can share. Okay, first up is the peanut butter something.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect, it's like flavor whipped cream almost.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, so that is a 9 out of 10 right off the bat.
I agree.
A little dry, but really good. What's this one? Pumpkin?
This is the pumpkin chocolate
Oh,
chip.
smell that.
Ooh, I like it.
It looks like a cookie, more of a loaf though.
It does taste like a loaf.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have the maple cookie.
It's like a sandwich.
I don't think this cutter is gonna...
You got this. Got it? Yeah.
Cheers.
Maple cookie. Cheers.
This is what you think is gonna be your favorite.
Yeah.
I don't love maple.
This is me growing up. My Nona gave us their maple leaves
Oh,
every time we went over.
I would commentate more, but we have to get out of here. This is an apple pie thing. That's what it's called on the menu, apple pie thing. I didn't rate the last one. Maple, 6 out of 10.
I give the maple an 8.
I gave the pumpkin a 5.
Same. Texture of that one's really good.
I'm giving the apple,
It was a good call skipping the regular
7.
chocolate chip for another one of the...
because we've had it before.
Yeah.
Tiramisu. Oh wait, this is tres leche.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be just like really wet.
Sounds it.
And it is.
It sounds it.
I think it tastes exactly like it's
my
supposed
God.
to.
Oh no.
Robert,
We're going.
you're still doing it anyway. We're not gonna need dinner now.
Wow.
We're going out for dinner while Liam's at Don Tolliver. I like it. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I'm gonna go help the kid out of the shower. Be right back.
Every time we
Sounds
go to a new
awesome.
hotel room, he's like, how do I use the shower? I'm like, Liam, just try. Just figure it out. And he's like, oh, I can't do
good
it.
there?
Okay, I'll see you when I start listening to or reading a novella. I didn't bring anything with me, but I'll figure it out. I decided guillotine was gonna be my pick because I have an early copy, an early listener's copy from Libro FM, and I've heard such negative things about it. Everyone's so hyped about it because they've loved Delilah S. Dawson's previous stuff. I have given her a 2-star and a 4-star, so I thought this novella might be perfect for me. The general premise is there's this woman who gets into a relationship with this man to get invited to his family compound vacation place in order to get in good with his mother because she is a fashion icon. Like, she's super rich and like the most famous fashion person. It mentioned how she has an $8 million necklace from Marie Antoinette, so that's tying in the title a little bit. She gets to go there pretty quickly. She wants a career in fashion. She thinks that this woman can give it to her, and she gets in good with this man to be invited. And at this point, I'm halfway through, and I like it. I like all of the description. It's very much about every single I have an entire audience here. Every single family member and every place that they're going and everything that she's doing and all of her expectations. She has to sign like an NDA as soon as she gets to this island. And now, I don't know what's gonna happen. Either the family's all gonna kill each other, or we're gonna find out some secrets about someone. Okay. That, I don't know. It was really action-packed, the second half. It was torturous. It was bloody. I think that in such a short book, it hammered home the point like a little bit too much. There was a whole probably 30 pages of that 130 that were just like saying why things were happening and why like these, like how privilege is such a terrible, how these people did such terrible things. And it just kind of went on and on a little bit, and then it turned into like just a bloody mess, which was fun. I had a good time reading it. I think I would give it, I want to say a 4. I think I will end up buying myself a copy. It's a really straightforward story, and It does feel like horror, but I think it's more thriller. The same way that Bloom is more of like a domestic thriller. This one was brutal and gory, but it still feels like it just fits into thriller. Anyway, I will still pick up Delilah S. Dawson's novellas. I know that about myself. I don't know that I'll pick up another novel from her, or I won't prioritize a novel from her because the violence just wasn't my favorite. But I think what she's doing with short stories, I appreciate. Anyway, I'll see you when I'm home and I'm reading something else. We are home from vacation. And I was thinking, did I even intro this video properly? If you didn't watch the first vlog, I'm reading short horror stories for another week. That's what I'm up to. And the TBR that I have is these three 100% because they're my book club pick. I'm starting to think I'm not going to post this until November actually, so this can go up at the same time as my live show so it doesn't like spoil all of my thoughts. And then I'm also reading a story from this every day. I also wanted to read Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy, so if that comes in time, I'll be reading that. I also think I might want to read Coup de Grace, which just came out, that's in stock at my local indie, so if they call me saying that Rest Stop is ready, I'll pick that one up as well. I don't think I'm going to go into town otherwise. I'm just not feeling it. Like last time I was sick, this time my energy, well maybe it'll improve. Maybe I'm going to get my period actually. I just don't, I think the weather, it just started raining and now I'm like, well, I hate it here. I do have one more thing that I ordered just yesterday though, because I saw it on some kind of list. I can't even remember. It's called In the Valley of the Headless Men by LP Hernandez. And it takes place in a national park, which I thought would be fun. Accessible only by plane. The perfect place for estranged brothers Joseph and Oscar to have an adventure following the death of their mother. Among its few visitors, an outsized number of violent deaths. Something about this was speaking to me. Another order I had to make is for a new pop socket because somebody on our trip ripped it off of my phone. Look how much my case is faded. I can like stick it back on, but it just popped off again. So here's the one I got to improve my mood because every time I look at it, it'll make me happy. I was thinking about getting a scary Halloween-y fall thing, but I just redid my profile picture and I made it yellow just because that's the color that looked good with everything else that I was doing. And I thought that, you know, represents me. Yellow, bright, sunny. And if it doesn't, I'll make it so. And there we have the new pop socket. Put in the comments below what we should name him. I feel like he has to have a name. He looks just like a happy face, but there's part of him that feels a little like forced, like, Do you know what I'm saying or am I wrong? Also, did I put it on crooked? I'm gonna read this right now. No better time like the present. Is that the phrase? I'm gonna update you on my book in just a second, but exciting news, exciting thing at the door. Ignoring the part where it says team lift, because I can definitely do this. Oh! And if I thought that was hard, I imagine the building is gonna be even more challenging. I was gonna say I'm a strong, independent woman though. I don't know that I am. I'm independent, not very strong, especially not mentally. And this could very well break me. This is comfy. This is what it's supposed to look like. Let's see if I can do it. I found the heavy part. I got the wheels on. Why was that the hardest part? I had to shove them in. It took way too much effort. How does that song go? I don't need anything from a man. Actually, maybe give me some money. At least if this falls apart, I have nobody to blame. I have nobody to yell at but myself. Is it gonna break? Am I gonna die? It's not comfortable. Well, I did it. All right, let's talk In the Valley of the Headless Men. Let's talk, but I don't really have anything to say. I don't know what I think about it. I'm halfway through and it's been a slow start. We're following a character who is connecting with their half sibling and they're going on a trip together to Nahini National Park to uncover some things. The synopsis just says that their mother died, so that's all I'm going to tell you because obviously it's very short, and they're reconnecting in a way, and it's just been a lot of setup. It's been about like learning about the park, why they're going there. It's like there's a family related thing that they're going there to kind of figure out, and these brothers kind of get along, but they've had a messy history, and they both have different like relationships with their fathers, and that's impacted how they see each other. It's just been a lot of talking so far, a lot of building of this relationship and this park and the travel there, and who's responsible for making the plans and who's maybe like not following through properly with the plans. And then one of them, their ex is coming. And so there's a woman, Jillian, also on the trip. And that's causing some like tension. They're both grieving. What does it say? There's another sort of grief going on in the plot. And that's kind of all it is. I like the setup enough. It's atmospheric. But like nothing has happened, so I don't have any opinions to share. But what I do have an opinion on is I had to catch up on At Home with the Horrors because I'm supposed to read a story a day and I didn't alongside Guillotine. So I read a story called, I feel like it was called Catherine, and I have no thoughts. I did not care about it. And then I read Rebirth, and it's interesting how certain things about Rebirth have like felt similar to Guillotine. And that's been happening with so many of these stories. Like depending on the novella I'm reading, the short story often reflects it. Like there's something going on that's similar. But this I think was my first 5-star in here. I didn't think it was gonna be because it just felt like kind of a concept. It was building this idea. It was basically someone telling a story the entire time that was like, it was a little science fiction-y. Here is a tale of like something that was going on in the FBI that you've never known about. And it just went on and on and on about with this long explanation of this person just telling another person a story. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. It's a concept of a story. There's not actually a plot. And then the last like paragraph was crazy. I don't know how I didn't see it coming in such a short story. I just closed the book and went, what the fuck? Like that was excellent, the way that was built out and the reveal and the shock factor. That's what I've been looking for in here. And I know that so many people have loved this collection. I just think it's fine, but that one, I finally got one that really, really worked for me. So I'm happy. And I guess I will finish this. I'm just headed out to a hockey game. This angle is really not for me, hey? Headed to a hockey game. There's gonna be a little bit of sitting around, so I'm sure I can read the last 50 pages at the rink, and then I'll let you know when I'm done. Okay, I finished my book, went to a hockey game, had onion rings from the, what is it called? Concession. And I feel very sick. I feel so like I'm about to be really sick. Anyway, you don't need to know that. You need to know what I read. Yes, I could wait and talk to you in the morning, but trying to be on track with the video. I don't really have a lot to say about it, to be honest. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think I would still definitely recommend it. Like, it didn't really do too much I didn't like. In fact, it was a mix of some of my favorite types of horror, like cosmic horror, kind of unexplained. It was survival horror because they were in the middle of nowhere and like hiking. It was grief-centric horror, like I talked about. Like, what could go wrong? But it was, I think that the atmosphere didn't have the sense of dread that I was really anticipating. I think the pace was especially uneven. Like, it took a long time to get into stuff, and then it got too weird too quickly once they were at the location. And then it was like hazy and confusing for just a wrong period of time. I don't think the female main character was fully realized to her fullest potential, but there wasn't anything particularly exciting. It was just like a little weird and confusing. It was intriguing, not my favorite, but yeah, 3. Oh my God. I'm gonna talk to you maybe tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a couple days. Oh my gosh, it is so windy. I just went to HomeSense because I haven't been there in a while. And of course I was looking for Halloween stuff, but Christmas was out and it was so beautiful. And I can't say no to like a foot tall ceramic Christmas tree. That's gonna be all of my decor this year. And I found some cute new ones. Should I show you, or is that blasphemous for our Halloween vlog? This one, because it's blue and I have navy blue stuff and I've never had a blue one. And this one, just because the texture on it is so pretty. It's like wood, but marble, speckled. Love it so much. And there was like 20 other things that I desperately needed. But the one Halloween-y thing that I grabbed is this candle. Like, this is so pretty. It's from Rachel Zoe. Then I stopped at the bookstore and they had my pre-order in for Rest Stop. There is no synopsis in here. It has to do with a rest stop. There's somebody who like goes into the bathroom at a rest stop and it's terrifying. And as somebody who, like, I don't think I get scared very easily when I watch a horror movie. There's none that really represent my own fears, you know what I mean? I feel like people have that horror movie, like Jaws made them scared of sharks, or they're scared of scarecrows so they won't watch this movie. I don't really have that. I think that rest stops, though, are one of the scariest things to me. First of all, they're always disgusting. They're always in the middle of nowhere, usually. There's people parked around there who you don't know and might be scary. But then I also grabbed this one because it was there. And it's Coupe de Grace by Sophia Aram. This one, Vicken has a plan, throw himself into the St. Lawrence River in Montreal and end it for good. But stepping off the subway, he finds himself in an endless looping station. So it's like horror, but like a fantasy labyrinth nightmare that he's trapped in. I've been having such a hard time deciding what to read next because it's finally time for me to get into the book club stuff. I need to read all 3 of these by next weekend so we can have a live discussion about them all. And so like I want to take them slow. I want to make sure I'm taking notes. And I just had a little bit of decision fatigue of which one to start with, which one felt right. But I ended up choosing Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. This is the author of If We Were Villains, which is a 5-star for me. I'm scared to reread it ever because I wonder if it would hold up. But I think where she shines is creating these like casts of characters where they all feel important. They all have a role to play and their relationships with each other is the focal point. So I'm not quite halfway in and I've got it established who all of these people are. We've gotten most or all of their POVs. And they basically just meet up in this graveyard for reasons. And one night they go there and there is an open grave. Not one that's been dug up, but one that looks like someone's about to bury someone in. And so some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them like hide behind a tree to see who's going to come and what's going to happen. And then that kicks off their kind of investigation of what's going on in this graveyard. Clearly there's like fungus and a mouse on the front. So there is something to do with scientific research, I think. Really enjoying it so far. And that is the same opinion that I've seen almost everybody have, that they were interested at the beginning and then it was a very unsatisfying reading experience in the end. And I don't want that to happen to me. I want to be somebody who's going to absolutely just eat this up. I need to film my wrap up for October, edit that, get it up, and then I think I'll read the second half of this evening. But we will see how it goes. And if my At Home with the Horrors story is also somehow going to be about a graveyard and it all matches up, because wouldn't that be fun? Well, I now have an idea of how I think the live show is going to go. I have a feeling most people are going to give this a 3. There's going to be a good amount of 2s, and then you're going to have the occasional person who gave it a 5 and it did something for them that I will come to understand in the live event. I am indeed the majority, at least from what I've seen. I've only probably seen like 5 people review this, but they all said the exact same thing. So yeah, this was disappointing. I'm glad that when I pitched it as a book club pick, I talked about the fact that it's described as horror, but the people who I've seen read it, people who have read it, it's late, say that it's more like a mystery, and it is. It's definitely a mystery. There are horror elements, but the plot is a mystery plot. And the mystery and the thrills and the horror didn't go as far as they could have, especially when you're dealing with this subject matter. I can barely remember If We Were Villains now, but I do feel like ML Rio maybe shines with the full cast. What's the word I'm thinking? An ensemble where you're dealing with all of these different relationships and exploring those, and like the group dynamic and who's like interested in who's friends with who does secretly doesn't like the other person. And this could have been a full-length novel like that with all of these characters because they're all interesting. They are all very distinct, and I can appreciate that for sure. But it's like there's just not enough pages to really delve into their relationships. It was more the kind of book that wanted to pull off an interesting concept, and I think probably had this intentional ambiguity in mind, and it did that. But if you're gonna do that, I think it needs to be a short story. This should have been half the length and in an anthology, or 200 pages and a really deep exploration of these themes and this concept. Because you can leave it where you left it with us wondering a lot of things, but not after we've invested 120 pages into this situation and then we don't really get a lot of answers. I'm surprised that nobody along the publishing journey said, take a step back and like give a little bit more or go a little bit further with the horror, because this doesn't really leave you with any feelings at the end. There's no like deep grieving you get to do. There's no like, oh my God, shock moment, but there's also no incredible connections that she built that makes you wonder what's going to happen after these pages. The atmosphere was there, the tension was not. And I could see where it wanted to have that and it just didn't. It did not pull it off. I'm giving it a 3 because I liked so much of it, but this feels like the kind of thing that you send out to publishers as like a conceptual, like first 120 pages of a novel. Or actually no, like the middle 150 pages of a novel, because there could have easily been 100 pages before any of this happened where we got an understanding of how this group was built. And maybe that sounds like it could be boring, but I would have liked it. I'll still absolutely pick up more from this author. I really did like the writing, and that's a bummer because so much of it was good and then it just, it's strange to think that that was her goal with the entire thing, was just to leave it there. I don't know. I'm gonna read this short story before I go to bed, and then I'll let you know in the morning how it went, and then I'll read something else. I better find a 5-star novella because I didn't in the first episode, and I love novellas so much that this is starting to hurt my feelings. Good morning, my friends. This smile is fake. I'm in such a bad mood. The weather is putting me in the worst mood, and I just like every year without fail forget how irritating the November rain is, and I just want to go outside. The depressing weather outside is just, it ruins all of my plans. So it's a good thing I'm reading a book that I think is going to be good, because my mood is not. Like, this is not how bright it is in this room. In reality, I'll show you. This is how dark it looks in reality. Oh my God, you can really see my shiny forehead. Since January, I have been going on 2 walks a day consistently, almost every single day. I'm getting 10,000 steps in, feeling great. I started at the beginning of the year with using my walking pad really consistently just because there was snow everywhere, and I was fine with the walking pad. And then as soon as the weather got good in like April, I took my walks outside, as you do. That's the time of year where I need to take the walks back inside, and I don't want to. It makes me so unhappy. And that actually really well ties in with what I'm reading, which is The Night Guest, because this is about a woman who wakes up and she's exhausted every day and then realizes that she has been walking like 30,000 steps in the night, and she doesn't know what's going on, and she's going to these doctors to try to figure it out, and the male doctors are telling her she's crazy. All of her friends are like, oh, have you tried yoga? Have you tried eating meat? Have you tried all of these other things? And she's like, I don't want somebody to think that I'm crazy, but like maybe I need to go into a psychiatric unit, because not only is she exhausted, but she's waking up with like certain pain and bruises and just unexplained things. So she's doing something in her sleep, and I do have my theories at a third of the way in. So now for me to keep up my walking, I need to switch to my walking pad or just go outside in the pouring cold rain and just be soaking wet. The closest like indoor walking track is half an hour away, and like, do I want to get a membership to the gym that has a walking track so at least I can walk on that throughout the winter? I think maybe that's what I'll do, but then it's also like I'm gonna have to start driving in the snow every day. This book is going well though, and I'm excited to find out what is happening with this woman. It's obviously just gonna be something strange because it's like it's a joke that all of her friends are like, oh, just do this, just do this. It's not gonna be that simple. Also, I'm just thinking, this has like blood dripping into a glass. Is she a supernatural creature at night? Is she consuming, like, is she drinking blood? Or is somebody poisoning her and putting something in her drink, and that's what's messing her up? What else could this cover imply? Well, I'm not going to tell you here, but I will discuss it in the live show for this coming up soon. All I have to say upon finishing this is this better not have any animal cruelty, because if I made you read 3 books that have to do with the death of cats and rats, you're gonna be upset with me. So I'm banking on this just being about humans, because that hasn't been the case for these ones. It was definitely properly in the horror genre. It was like confusing, disorienting. You feel a similar way that the character feels, being in her head, being a little bit like lost and confused. It is grotesque at certain points. The ending, I think, left a little bit to be desired, but at least it will lead to a conversation. Both of these will have a discussion in the live show about what we think the ending means. This one, I think there are more theories to discuss, and I'm interested to hear from other people what they think everything is implying. This isn't one of my new favorite novellas by any means. So I think it's a 3.75. It had a lot of great dialogue about gender and women's experiences, how they differ from men, and how men were treating women throughout the story, and how the main character was internalizing certain moments and had thoughts about the world around her. Maybe it's a 4. No, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it, and maybe I will decide in the live show what it was. Now, my story for At Home with the Horrors of the day was about an animal cruelty and a cat, and it's just so strange how things are aligning. There was a husband and wife, and the husband went out of town for a business trip, and while he was gone, she had to deal with their cat, who maybe wasn't really their cat, and it was only a couple pages. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It kind of felt like a bad Goosebumps episode. Today is November 6th. I'm sure for many of you, my American followers, a very frustrating, devastating, difficult day to be existing. So I feel for you. And today I'm reading Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy, which I'm very excited about. I got 24 pages in last night. And what happened? We're following this guy who is driving. Where was he driving? He had like a sick family member. Oh my God, there's no synopsis. Oh my God, it doesn't say here either. I've had a lot on my mind. It was hard to focus. The fact that I only read 24 pages, like the entire day, and then just put this down, it's very unlike me. I think his grandmother was sick, and he is driving to see her, and he was on the phone with his brother, and he was talking about how he's in love with this girl that his bandmate is in a relationship with, and we were just getting an idea of like what his life looks like. And then he pulls over to a rest stop, and he goes into a gas station. There's nobody in there, and he goes to use the bathroom, and suddenly he gets locked inside. And when he's trying to get out, he realizes like he can feel where the door is like not working, and there has to be like an entire lock on the outside of the door. So someone has intentionally locked him up. And I haven't heard anything about it, so not that people would spoil it probably, but I don't have any theories. I don't know anything. Like, it could be a serial killer. It could be, it's like in his own imagination. It could be cosmic and we never find out. It could be a literal monster demon following him. It could be a friend of his following him. It could be his grandmother. It could be someone who knows him and like wants revenge, or it could just be random. Eric LaRocca said it's profoundly devastating and nasty as hell. Devastating is interesting. But I guess anyone who's trying to like maybe murder you or scare you is inherently devastating, but that feels like it means something more. I'm just gonna finish this right now. I'm gonna stare at these 110 more pages. I almost just spoiled myself and flipped to the last page. I saw the word cereal. Crazy of me that I just did that. Let's lock in, and I hope I love this. I need to love this.
Moonlight peeks through the curtains. Another night, another fight.
writing of this and name that has been assigned to the present danger is interesting.
Apathy is how I get through until you ask me what I want. Don't leave, no, please not now. If you need to breathe,
Okay.
we can figure this out.
My very first instinct is to give this a 4. It was indeed funny. Devastating is so interesting. Yeah, I guess it's kind of devastating. Oh, what the fuck? Unhinged, gory mania. Yeah, these blurbs are solid. You also get some moments outside of the current terror and like reflecting on his life. I had a good time with it. Like, there's no way this is a 5 though. I wish it was. I don't know what it could have done to be a 5. I kind of want like 50 more pages, but would I have liked it if it went on for 50 more pages? Probably not. I would definitely recommend it. It's like pretty pointless and just a wild, terrifying time for this character. I don't want to say anything more about it, but I'm glad that it's put me in a slightly better mood. Liam and Rob are almost home. It was take your kid to work day, and so he went with Rob for all his like plumbing stuff, and I can't wait to see how he felt about his day, what he learned. He has this whole packet to fill out about his day, and that's it for me. Oh, I was supposed to film, edit, and upload a whole video today, so maybe that's why I'm feeling a little bit off. Well, I didn't film the video because I'm feeling off, but also like my day just feels weird because I didn't do like the one thing that I was supposed to do that I had set a couple hours aside to do. So not my most productive day, but I don't exist to be productive. Neither do you. I will probably read the short story that I need to read from the short story collection, and then tomorrow I will tell you about that. Okay, see you in a sec. I did forget to read the short story, but I will read 2 today. I need to be outside, so I am gonna grab the audiobook of This Is Where We Talk Things Out, and I'm just going to not stop walking until the audiobook ends. That's what I need today. That's where I need to be. How tone deaf does that clip of me feel from like 5 days ago when I was complaining about the weather? Like the weather. I would edit it out, but I was talking about the book throughout that conversation. Obviously, any of my thoughts and feelings are valid. It just feels so like silly. I guess I was just living with this like expectation or delusion that surely Americans wouldn't disappoint each other so greatly. Therefore, it wasn't top of mind for me, but I know it obviously has been for so many of you, and now it is even more so. It's like all that my feed is people's emotions and reactions, and all of them valid, like sadness and anger, disappointment, or empowerment, wanting to turn this into something productive, or like you just want to sit with it, and like every feeling is so valid, and I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to say. I have nothing that's helpful. Obviously, I'm not American, so people will tell me to shut up, stop talking about a country I don't live in. The same way they don't want me to talk about Palestine or Ukraine or Haiti. And it's like, when did we lose our humanity? Where along the way did we lose our empathy? Like, don't talk about it. It doesn't affect you. What do you know about it? So many people want the bookish space to be a safe place, but it's already not for so many people. And like the people who say they don't want books to be political, it's just so ridiculous when there's people in charge, in power, actively banning books, wanting to raise a less educated and less informed society. And then life just goes on, and you get up and you go to work and you do the same thing, and just have to smother your own feelings. And I'm so sorry. And then you turn on my vlog and I'm talking about how depressed I am because of the weather. Because life goes on. This is my job. I get paid to yap. And it feels stupid to keep just talking about books. But it's felt that way for a while. Okay, what a book. This is a novella I will definitely go on to recommend to a lot of people. I wish that I hadn't been able to figure out what it was doing as early as I did. I also wish it went a little bit further to be like truly properly horror, but it might just be because that's what I'm looking for in my reading, and because I want one of the 3 books for the live show to be like truly kind of a gruesome horror or something. They've actually all been a more similar tone than I was expecting. So this is the story of a woman named Miller, and her mother and her are kind of estranged, but her mother is desperate to be back in her life and has been trying to get back into her life for a very long time. Miller finally gives in. She's in a relationship with a woman named Florence, and her mother doesn't necessarily support them in that. And so, I don't know, she's just going to take this weekend getaway opportunity to reconnect. And her mother plans this getaway up north. They're in Quebec, and it's winter, and they're traveling, and she won't tell her daughter exactly where they're going. And then when they get to this cabin, it is very reminiscent of her childhood. Like, her mother has decorated it to look exactly like it did when she was growing up, I guess, to like bring back the good memories that she thinks they have, but there's just so much tension between them. And it was a lot of arguing and anger, and there is like something weird going on. I just wanted it to go a little bit further. I feel like it's going to be a 3.5. I am interested to discuss this one and talk to people about where I wished it had gone, because obviously that's full spoilers. So I'm going to go home, do my short stories, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. It's the final day of the vlog, the final book I'm going to be reading. And we're in a tournament weekend, so I don't have a lot of time to read. I probably should have left an audiobook for last, so I could do that while games are happening or waiting for games. But I'm gonna bring this with me in the arena. There might be moments where I can read it. I got like 20 pages in while I was just home doing something. This is, I think I've been saying coup. I feel like I've been saying coup. It's coup. I'm assuming it's coup de grace. And it's about a man who in the first 20 pages decided to take his life and was kind of explaining why, and had a little interaction that he considered changing his mind. And then when he went to do the thing, he just ended up in a train. He was on a train, and he ended up in an underground area of the train, but he can't find his way out. So he's in this labyrinth, and I'm guessing he's gonna learn some things or have to make some decisions. I still don't know the tone of it, but I really like the writing, so I'm glad for that. And by the end of the day, I will have finished this. I also have to plan the live show for tomorrow to discuss all the other 3 novellas. So that's exciting. Got a busy weekend ahead of me. I'm just making sure I have my little thingamajigger. I do, my chicka, because I'm filming all the games. Liam has gotten a goal in most of the games, and they've been pretty excellent. Do I have any clips to show you? Maybe. I shared with you baby boy's wins, so let me also share his losses. Baby boy got crushed. The baby boy is not feeling well, and that's the update on the tournament weekend. Okay, I need to talk to you about this, and also this. I DNF'd the last story. Sorry, it's too long. I really struggle when short story collections keep the longest story until the end, because at that point I'm ready to wrap up the experience. And if it's that good, make it its own novella. If it really needed to be this amount of pages, I don't know, put it in the middle. Just advice to anybody. Overall, this is a 3, I think. I might have to write all of my ratings down and do like an average, and if it's not a 3, I'll update you on what it actually is in my monthly wrap up. So that's that on that. This, I don't want to say anything about. So what I'm gonna say is, if this already intrigues you, I'll prep you with a couple things. One, don't read any reviews, because there is like a gimmick in this book and you don't want that ruined for you. Don't read the reviews, just go into it. And if you're gonna commit to it, commit to it. Do not DNF this book, because then when you look up spoilers and you spoil the ending for yourself and you figure out the gimmick, you'll be mad that you didn't find it out on your own. Because I didn't like this, but at least like getting to that was an interesting part. And I'm not a for the gimmick reader. I think a book has to stand on its own. It needs to be well written. It needs to have a good plot. Like it still needs all of the things the book would have without the gimmick. But a lot of times when people write a book for the gimmick, and the gimmick is what they have first and foremost in their mind, they forget about the plot because they're like, oh my God, wait for what I'm gonna pull off here. Like when I was reading Only Revolutions by Markus Z. Danielewski, that book is like, there's 288 words on every page and everything. Like, it was a terrible book. The gimmick was maybe interesting, made it interesting to read, but it was a really poorly written book. This was, I think people could describe this as being beautifully written. It has very descriptive language. It is all about the description of this train system, of this labyrinth, of bodies. There's some gross stuff about like, I don't know, there's like puke and a lot of references to piss, just some gross kind of medical stuff. It's very existential. Here's an example of the type of language. Filaments of paper-thin membranes seamed together with paper-thin rind. Scaly erythema, I don't know how to say that, patches over my forearms and thighs and erupted into gray knots of flesh, beads of indurated papules threatening to pulsate at the center. The body holds divinity, but the mind seals the gates of its heaven. Or I shed my weight like a deciduous forest. Even the nausea finds a season in me. Pain is a god the body worships. I believe it because I've knelt at its altar. It's just like very passionate, very dramatic. And I feel very strongly that this should have been written in third person, not first person, because just following this man and he's trying to survive. He's also like in a really deep, dark mental state. And yet he takes pages and pages to describe things and like dramatize everything. And it just doesn't feel genuine. And I just didn't like my time with it. And while I appreciate the gimmick because it's interesting and not quite like anything I've read, no, it's like things I've read before, but I don't want to get into it. It just wasn't for me. In another universe, it is for me. Maybe honestly, if I read it like 7 years ago and I was like, oh yeah, it's like super pretentious description and oh my God, the thing that it did at the end, like maybe I could have eaten it up in a different world. So if you're me 7 years ago, pick it up. That's who I recommend it to. I have my horror and horror adjacent books under 230 pages, which is what I consider a novella, tier ranking. I ranked all of the ones I read in the last video, and now I need to pop all of these in. I have changed my rating of The Night Guest to be a 4, so I'm gonna put it in great because I think it pulled off what it intended. That's gonna go there. Oh my God, Graveyard Shift I think is a bad book. I'm gonna put it in not for me because I'm sure it is for somebody, but God, it just had so much potential. I'm kind of annoyed about it. In the Valley of the Headless Men. This one's, I have to put it in meh. Like I kind of want to put it in good. I think it would work for other people more than me. This Is Where We Talk Things Out is one of the most exhausting reading experiences I've had, but it also did accomplish what it wanted. And if it surprised me, I would have liked it more. So I'm going to say it was good. Just objectively good. Guillotine, I wouldn't recommend as much as a lot of these others. So I'm probably just gonna put it in good. Coup de grace, I still think is like kind of underwhelming. I think more people are gonna dislike it than like it. I guess though, depending on like how people are pitching it and who's picking it up. But I'm putting it in meh. And then Rest Stop is the last one. I'm actually gonna put that, no, not in favorite, but it was great. I forgot the top row was called favorite. I was just gonna say like, this is close to a 5. But that's what the great category is for. There's even some 5s in the great category. So this has the perfect place there. And now this is nice to look at because it gives me hope. It gives me encouragement. It reminds me that I have read more great novellas than average ones, even though this video series has left me with more meh reads than fantastic ones. I haven't found a new favorite, but I've had a great time in this video series. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in another video soon. If you are a channel member, we're doing a live reaction to the Goodreads Choice Awards pretty quickly here. So if you want to join, there's a link down below, and I will see you soon. Bye.